Hello and welcome back to my channel. We're doing another YouTube reading today. That being said, if you click the link at the bottom and you want a YouTube reading for yourself, but when you get to my website, it says they are sold out, just be patient with me. I've only hit my max right now, and I will load more stock onto the website when I've caught up with the ones that I have. Okay, so moving on. Today we're going to be reading for a 1-3 Splenic projector, and their intake form basically sounds like this. They're leaving a 16-year career. They want to start their own business, but they need some guidance on to like, how do I do this? And when I asked, really, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to take into this? They would love a little bit more support with their strategy and authority. And in general, their feeling about themselves is that they're very good in calling out not only the positives, but the negatives in people and delivering them in a way where people actually feel what they're trying to say. Now, when I took that stuff in from the intake form, I laughed because when I saw this body graph, the first channel that jumped out at me was a channel of judgment. I laughed because it's like I can see these positives and negatives in people, and I have a way of telling them where they can feel it. And I'm like, it's funny because this person said like they can feel it. And my first question is like, but does it feel good? Does the recognition of this person, or when this person is recognizing other people for either positive or negative attributes, it's interesting to recognize someone for a quote unquote negative attribute. If I was going to be recognized for a negative attribute, I would want to be asking for that. I would not want someone to come up to me and be like, hey, you got a negative quality. Let me point it out in you so that you can make your life feel better. I'll be honest, my partner has a channel of judgment, and sometimes he gives me a little bit of that. And I'm like, no, like I don't need to take that judgment because it's not quite accurate. And also, I didn't necessarily ask for it. So that's my first thing. And I'm grabbing this like honestly, like a little bit assertively right off the bat because we have to be very careful with channel of judgment projectors. If they don't recognize that their judgment is meant to be collective, it's going to blow up in their face a lot because if they make their judgment personal, all they're really going to do is push people away from them. Judgment is not personal, judgment is collective. And we have to look at like the circuitry this is in. It's in collective logical circuitry. In theory, we see logical circuitry as kind of boring, but the boring thing is also kind of like comforting in a sense because if you run an experiment, change a variable, get your results, change a variable, get your new result, change a variable, get like there should be some predictability to proving the logical information, proving the experiment. Judgment has to prove its logic. It's not just like an opinions channel. Now, that being said, I'm like, oh, say that again with like a little bit of a grain of salt there because this person actually does have an opinions channel. They have another logical collective channel where they're frequently serving up opinions to people from gate 17. So this belongs to their channel of acceptance. Now I'm just going to go back down into the channel of judgment for a second, because what I want to point out is that this channel is really about offering collective solutions. As in, there's a logical problem and there's a logical solution to it, but the solution should be somewhat beneficial for the collective. It's something that is kind of applicable to a much wider range of things rather than like the individual problem. Judgment is not here to fix something in someone. Judgment is here to offer solutions, really, to improve quality of life, but only when asked for it. Improving quality of life is really what this circuitry is out to do. Yeah, it's very like quality of survival. Whereas if I'm looking at the channel of acceptance, we have a little bit more opinions coming from this one. And also, like, it's worth pointing out this person's incarnation cross. I've got a 52, 58, 17, and 18. And so 52 and 58, these are like, they're a certain type of adrenalized collective energy in the root center. And then we go over to 18. And so through this person's incarnation cross, it makes the channel of judgment, but then it's got like hanging stillness and hanging opinions, except the opinions aren't really hanging. They're actually connected to gate 62. And so this person's incarnation cross is attached to a reasonable amount of definition in their life. And like their body side, 17.3, 18.3. I've got like challenge the authority, have the opinions, but also like trial and error, trial and error. Oh, should I try a new opinion? Oh, should I try a new authority? Ooh, okay. So there's a little bit of a discomfort of like, if I deal with the overall 1-3 profile of this person, I'm sussing out a little bit of like the third line, like self-annoyance, like being like perturbed that something isn't being able to be figured out. Like, and obviously there's a perturbance from the third line that it can't figure something out. But it's the unconscious third line. I think it's honestly, I think it's a little bit harder to be an unconscious third line than it is to be a conscious third line because the unconscious third line, like, doesn't really expect itself to trip and fall. Like I'm a conscious third line. My personality is like, yo, you clumsy. Like you bump into things. You know that you fail. You know that you. Whereas when it's in the body side, it's not consciously going through the personality. And so it's got more of a quality of like walk, trip and fall in a hole and then being like, oh, I always fall. Like it's almost like you don't have the awareness almost to see it coming. And so I wonder, not even I wonder, it's like everything that I'm saying right now only validates other things that Ra has said. Like the 1-3 profile is deeply pessimistic. And these are part of the reasons why. Oh, and I hate to say that someone is deeply pessimistic. I'm like, I better pepper in some really nice things about this person because they're trying to start a new business. Okay. So many, I genuinely have so many things to say. And so sometimes it's hard for me to pack it all in. Let me say a couple of lighter things, maybe not even nicer things. When we're looking at the channel of acceptance and the channel of curiosity. So both of these are going from ajna to throat. Now, gate 11, I guess we're on this side of the mirror, depending on how you're looking at me right now. Gate 11 on one side is the gate of the left eye. Gate 17 on the other, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is my left eye. This is my right eye. Come on, Sam. Gate 11, gate of the left eye. Gate 17, gate of the right eye. Okay. So we have the eyes in 11 and 17. Immediately there, I'm like, what is this person's vision like? Like, not only do I have gate 17 and gate 11 on through channels, and so a definition that has a lot to do with the left and the right eye, and related, but not quite related in the way that you might think, I've got outer vision cognition. So I have outer vision cognition and definition specific to both of the eyes. I really want to know, like, what does this person see? How does this person see? And it's not just a person, right? Like, I could have a generator with these two channels and outer vision. And if I ask them what they see, they're going to give me back something very different than when I ask this projector what they see. Because you ask a generator what they see, and they might actually give it back to you according to like the two gates and the outer vision. But I ask a projector what they see, we see differently. Like, if you ask me what I see, it actually never hits me like a literal question. Like, Sam, what do you see? I'm not going to be like, my neighbor's house. You know, I'm literally always going to take, it's funny to use the word literally. I'm always going to take it as less literal and kind of more energetically metaphorical, like projector. What do you see? And so part of what stands out to me so much is how much of this person's design has to do with seeing. What does the projector see? What does their right eye see? What does their left eye see? How is their outer vision developing? What do they see? Okay, so the question here was I need to, they didn't say need. The question here was about starting their own business, leaving a business, starting a new one. If they tell me that they're leaving one, I'm assuming this has something to do with their splenic authority. They said they wanted a heavy emphasis on strategy and authority. So my heavy emphasis on strategy is going to be kind of repeating many, many times. Do not seek, do not initiate, do not start, do not wait, 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 wait. And like, yes, we tell all projectors, wait to be invited, wait to be invited, wait to be invited. But your mechanics are pretty intense. We really want you to wait because channel of judgment is an intense channel to carry around. You have a logical collective channel. And then you have like an opinions logical collective channel. Those are two kind of heavy feeling channels to deal with. Then I've got the channel of curiosity. Channel of curiosity is not so much a heavy channel. Channel of curiosity, if anything, is like literally the opposite. It's a very light kind of channel because it's not so much about the opinions, it's about the ideas. You know, it's got more of a possibility kind of component to it. And because it's collective abstract, it's something that makes sense after the fact. So there's so much more storytelling in the channel of curiosity, whereas the channel of acceptance is more about like logical pattern hunting. It's well, it could be like a peer-reviewed science journal. It could be watching the news. Like it's and even then, actually, watching the news is more like this happened, let's talk about it, which is technically more abstract. I feel like curiosity would be more about the news, but I don't know, maybe that's a bad example. Curiosity to me has like even just the word curiosity, like literally, it's a fun sounding word. Like, oh, I'm curious about that. What are the ideas? What do I believe? Like, let's process this. Let's talk about this. Like, there's almost a quality of discovery kind of to it. Now, one of the things to point out, as I said, like I would make things like a little lighter, a little more humorous or whatever. The 1762 channel of acceptance is a humor channel. So we have memory channels, creative channels, love channels. There are humor channels. Channel of acceptance is a humor channel. And it's the channel of the idiot. And then channel of curiosity, 1156, is another humor channel. The channel of the clown. So I've got the clown and the idiot in this kind of like comical, but I'm like, this isn't really like comedy. Like it's not like slapstick. I'm like, this is more, I'm thinking this is more intellectual comedy. This is a little bit drier. But when I think like curiosity being the clown, like, yeah, there's a lightness, there's a goofiness, there's a silliness kind of to it. But acceptance is like the fool. It's like, you're an idiot. We have different opinions. You're a fool. Like it's judgy. It's okay. So I have a projector here with 4 channels, and two of the logical channels feel kind of like, no offense, but like they're kind of intense. And then curiosity is like, but I'm here to kind of lighten things up a little bit, to provide a little bit of balance. Now, funny enough, that's actually really what I want to say about the channel of initiation. The channel of initiation is about balance. I really want you to hear the word balance. And then I also want you to pair that with the word centering. Use balance to take you to the place of center. Now, centering is specific to the circuit that we're talking about. Within individual circuitry, our big main group, we have a smaller subgroup within that called the centering circuit. Now, with the centering circuit, we would go from gate 34 to gate 10 to gate 25 to gate 51. So there are only 2 channels in this circuit. One of those channels, 3410, is generated because it starts with 34 and it's the gate of power. Now, the other one, 2551, the channel of initiation, is a projected channel. So when you think about like individual, empowering, self-empowering, centering, like a true place of balance, that's what this channel's really going for. So when we're talking about the centering circuit, and it's got this quality of like being centered, being balanced, what does the balance actually come from? Like centered in what? Balanced in what? The answer is in the circuitry, individual circuitry, centering circuitry. But it's the individual circuitry that has the appropriate keynote that I'm really looking for here. And an individual keynote is interference, or in particular, non-interference. When you have someone with the channel of initiation, the most important thing to this person is that you do not interfere with their individuality. And so the balance of not being interfered with and also them not interfering with you. Now, interference is a very interesting word. Like, if I think about how to be healthy in this channel, it's about finding the center, finding the balance, which really means like an appropriate amount of like self-respect and staying in your own lane, so to speak. And so I would think that this channel of initiation is an excellent kind of like foundational quality of being a projector. I think when you have the channel of initiation, you do like have this inner thing of like, I don't want to insert myself in other people. I don't, that was funny. I don't even know if I meant to insert myself in other people. I think I might have did mean to say that. That's the projector penetrative quality. The projector's like, I don't necessarily want, I'm not trying to insert myself where I don't belong. I'm not going to interfere with you because I know how uncomfortable it is for people to interfere with me. It's more like I'm really only going to it's like guidance is not interference. If I'm not being invited to guide, then I'm just interfering. And so everything feels like interference unless it comes with like guide me, as in get involved with me. It doesn't feel like interference if it's being asked for. So the channel of initiation within this projector helps me feel like this person does at their core like know how to live and operate as a projector. This is a creative channel. It's a mystical channel. When I hear that this person like has so many creative projects that they want to bring out, there's so many things that they're interested in, like I actually feel this very much from the channel of initiation. I felt like the spleen was like, look, I can't do the job that I've been doing. Pull back. My authority, let that go. That feels right. Channel of initiation is like, I have creative interests. I have motorized creative interests to put into things. I want to have not experience per se, because that's a little bit collective feeling, but it's like, I want to get into things and feel them. And that's the quality of being first a little bit. Like, I want to have access to something to get into it. But also there is the like, but not if you're not asking me for it. Like the power of the initiation from this channel can only happen with invitation. Really, the power of all of these channels only happens with invitation. That's the hardest thing about being a projector is we're just sitting here being like, I got so much power to unleash on people when they finally ask me for it. And so I've got someone who's like, look, I can't do the job I was doing anymore. I'm definitely starting a new job. How do I do that? And I hear the immediate resistance of like, I'm a projector. I know I'm a projector. How do I start my business? And then is the business the job? Is the job is the work? Is the work is a sacral? How much of your job or your business or your career is going to be work or is going to feel like work? I have the feeling that this person's like, look, I can't keep doing what I was doing, but I'm very open to doing something else. In fact, I think I absolutely need to do something else. I just don't want to mess it up. I just don't want to start the wrong thing. And I got to go back a little bit to like when I started my human design career, because this is definitely by far the most successful career I've had. I've been doing this full time since end of 2019. And when I got into human design, it wasn't like, I need to make a business and what will it be? And I'm going to teach courses. Like, if I look at where I kind of ended up, I didn't intentionally try to create what I made. I only knew, similar to this person maybe, that I couldn't keep doing what I was doing. So, if you know my backstory, right before I got into human design, I was trimming weed and running weed trim crews. That is not all of my career backstory, and it's definitely not all of my education. But as a woman getting divorced with a 3-year-old kid, and I'd been a stay-at-home mom for a long time and not a lot of recent work experience, I had a girlfriend who was like, hey, come give me a hand. And it just kind of took off for me for a while. But it was absolutely exhausting. Like it really, really killed me. It was just a transitional job to get from one place to the next, thankfully. But I just knew in that job, like one day, like I can't go back. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. Spleen was like, let it go. It's not healthy. It's going to kill you no matter what you think. Let it go. So I let it go. And I had like no resources. I had very little plan. I just knew I was meant for more. And that's such a weird thing to say, but it was like I knew that I could be recognized for so much more than I had ever been before. That's the thing. It's like I didn't have an aim to be, I just didn't have an aim. I just wasn't happy with what I had. Like that's the thing. And I wasn't just not happy. It was just like there was a thing in me that was like, this isn't it. This isn't it. You know, maybe that's a third line splenic ego in me. It's just like, not that. Nope. Nope. And it's so hard for me to know what's right until someone calls it out in me, until someone recognizes it in me. And I got like the tiniest drip feed recognition to get into human design because I just heard about it. And so I read a book on it. And then I talked to all the people I trimmed weed with about it. And they were like, hey, you're pretty good at explaining this stuff. Like from the first day that I ever talked about human design to people that didn't know it, they were like, can I ask you more questions about that? And so like immediately people started coming to me for more. And I didn't even know like to be aware of that or to look for that. I didn't know I was starting to be recognized. I didn't really have much of the projector language. Like I was learning the words, but I really didn't know what it felt like to live that way. And that's so different. I remember my mom, who's a generator, emotional generator, having a phone call with me, and I was crying because I had like no money and no plan. And she was like, Sam, you need to go just get a whatever job so you don't freak out and so you can get by. And eventually, like, you'll come up with a thing for you, but like you just need to get by. And I love my mother, but that was horrible advice. And I said so to her. I was crying and I was like, no, mom, I know you care. I know you love me. I know that you want good for me, but I'm so close to something. I don't know what it is, but I just got to keep doing whatever I got to keep believe. It's like, I got to keep believing, but that's not it either. The words evade me shockingly sometimes. But really, what I'm trying to say here is how did I start a business that is so successful and so based on recognition and invitation? Like, where did the idea come from? Where did it actually come from? And what I can really say is like projectors are recognized for what we see. And in particular, with your chart, I've got left eye, right eye, outer vision, projector grabbing the monopole and seeing. Like, your business is based on guiding people likely to better know themselves through what you see. What do you see in people? What do you recognize in people? Now, I mean, like people as a whole, not like what did you recognize in that person? Because again, I'm like, the channel of judgment here can be really tricky. Like, I don't necessarily want you to be like, I see something in that person and they need to change it. It's like, you got a lot of channels to work with here. I've got creative channels, comedy channels, mystical channels, logical, experimental channel. Like, and this person's got guilt motivation. Like, this person really wants to fix things. I've got a first line profile who's like, dig into the truth. And then guilt motivation, it's like, fix it if you can. What are the solutions? Guilt, fix it. What's a solution here? Now, the word solution is important because judgment is looking for collective logical solutions. Acceptance is looking for collective logical solutions. This is somebody who is meant to provide people with solutions to fix their problems, but only when this person has actually been asked for it. What are the problems that you see? What are the patterns that lead to the problems that you see? What are the patterns that you see that are creating the problems around us? What do you see as ways to fix those things? Now, the hardest thing is, can you have that level of awareness, and then can you stop yourself from trying to take action on those things? Don't be the doer, be the seer, be the watcher. Can you share what you're seeing with other people? I think this person is actually doing okay with their authority. I have a feeling that they're doing okay. I want to acknowledge that. I also have a feeling that the strategy is more challenging for this person than their authority. I think that this person can trust themselves and can tell when it's like, nope, that's not for me. Nope, that's not for me. Nope. Like, I think that no is actually probably a very easy thing for this person to say. My question is no too easy of a thing for this person to say? I have potentially a very pessimistic profile, a defined spleen, a defined ego, and two channels that are like, hey, don't do that. Hey, don't do that. That's what I want to know. I know this person is comfortable saying no. Do they say no a little too much? Weird. Interesting place to leave that one. Okay. On to the next one.